Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm writing to the difference between Atma at para param Atma. Oh my gosh, I didn't think I would struggle with that one. Hold on, I thought it was gonna say the difference between Atma and para Atma, but param Atma. I believe is that the right word? Is that how it's pronounced? Anyways, it said the difference between Atma at para. I wonder if they meant to put the N symbol instead. Which is number 7, right? Yeah. Huh. Anyways, I didn't think I get stuck on the title there, but let's go ahead and hear what Lakhani has to say.
As usual, Madan Bhai, you ask most difficult question and call them easy question. It's a very tough one. Now you see this issue about what is Atman, what is Paramatman, how do you define them, and what is the relationship is very central in Hindu philosophy. In fact, all the acharyas we've had, starting from Adi Shankara, Ramanuj, Madhava, etc., all of them have been tussling with this issue, this question. In fact, this is how you have all these different acharyas and different movements within Hinduism in the last 1,000 years, tackling this issue. What is going on? I'll give you my take. What is my personal, if you like, ideology? How do I see this issue? You see, first of all, the word Atman is very difficult to encapsulate, to understand what is meant by Atman. You see it in all the scriptures, Atman, Atman, everywhere. You ask any Hindu, especially your parents, what is Atman? There's a vegetable on Ealing Road. No idea. They're struggling. The word itself is, every scripture will have about Atman and Brahman. And they say, what is it? That's, we don't know. It's just something, they just read in the scripture and we recite the poetries and the verses. So what is this? When you really try and explore the word Atman, what it actually means, there are certain handles that you can use to try and grab this thing called Atman. And the 3 handles the Hindus have used, in fact there are more than 3, but the 3 that really stands out are the ones that Madan Bhai mentioned. The nearest words you have in the vocabulary that will allow you to try and get a handle on the word on the concept of Atman is consciousness. It is of the nature of consciousness. So this idea comes as asti, as bhati in the Sanskrit vocabulary. This is one handle you have. The thing that we possess that seems to be very close to our being, we are conscious. Our consciousness seems to be central. That's my own being, consciousness. So the word says, Hinduism says, the word consciousness in a way is hiding this concept of Atman. It appears, the nearest word is consciousness. That's one. The second word that gives you a handle on this concept of Atman is the word existence. You say, existence? It's such a casual word. Everything exists. There's a cup of tea, there's a glass, there's no glass. So what's the big deal about existence? No. Hinduism says what appears as a casual word that we use in our casual life is hiding the secret of the Atman. Existence, it is of the nature of existence, says Hindu tradition. Asti, existence. The word asti became existence in English. It actually is literally from the word asti, S-E-T, and then existence. So existence is the nature of Atman. The fact that existence, we exist without a straightforward thing. No, the fact that we exist, isn't a threading thing. We exist. That takes you to the heart of reality. You are that. That's the second part. The third part is the sweetie. It says the third aspect to the word Atman, the third handle we have on the word Atman is, it is of the nature of bliss. Be careful. Bliss doesn't mean pleasure. Pleasure you get from ice cream, especially me, chocolate ice cream. I love it.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so this is the issue I had with bliss as well. Whenever I say bliss, I assume, at least from the definition that I understand bliss as in pleasure. And so he's about to explain what bliss means.
That is not bliss. That is pleasure. The senses get excited in a positive way and we feel, yes, I want more. And that is not bliss. Bliss is something dramatically different from pleasure and pain. It transcends both pleasure and pain. And that is something that is within us. It is when we recognize, if we have our center of gravity not as pleasure and pain, but we focus back on bliss, then we are in a way freed from this chasing after pleasure or running away from pain. We recognize our dignity as blissful. Again, how do I know these things? When religion becomes experiential, when you actually experience what is this Atman about, This is what happens. You feel, first of all, you feel a thrill. I exist. Ah. You say, oh, what's such a simple thing? No. When you experience the spirit, the word existence, God catches you. I exist. Your hair on your body stands on end. And you feel tremendous bliss flowing through your system. Not pleasure. Bliss flowing through your system. You feel excited. This is bliss. This is not pleasure. It is something dramatically different from pleasure. We are trying to find bliss by searching for pleasure. We thought pleasure is what we are looking. No, it's bliss what we are searching for. So the three words, Sat Chit Anand or Asti Bhati Priya, existence, consciousness and bliss are central, if you like, the best way if you can use to try and capture what is meant by Atman. But again, look, these are just words. The reality is, it is experiential. Words fall by the wayside. This is the best we can do when we are trying to converse about it or talk about it. We use the nearest words. This is, if you like, the definition of what Atman. Now, by definition, there is no limitation. Existence is existence, and bliss is bliss. So, by definition, Atman is actually, logically, no different from how we define Paramatman, a superior Atman, a special Atman. And the Hindus have brought in the word Paramatman for a particular reason. I'll mention to you in a minute. Now I can say I'm the Atman, I talk about bliss and existence and I'm that.
Real quick. So, bliss. I'm wondering if this is the idea that, I wouldn't say content. Content is a good word. But it's more along the lines of no longer needing to, what he kind of said there, no longer needing to seek pleasure to be joyful, or to no longer to seek pleasure to have pleasure, if that makes sense. You no longer need to seek joy to have joy. You no longer need to run away from pain to I don't know how to shoo away pain. You no longer need to run away or chase after these things to either experience them or not experience them, perhaps. In order to not experience pain, you no longer need to run away from it. You just naturally no longer necessarily feel the suffering. Suffering might be the better word than pain. Pain hurts because, obviously, from Swami Sarvapriyananda's explanation of Sri Ramakrishna with I believe the cancer, saying the body is hurting but I am not. So therefore, clearly the body still feels pain, but it's more along the lines of not suffering from that. I don't know, is that really the right word for that? Because clearly the body still suffers, the body still feels emotion. Swami Vivekananda, I've again heard from videos that you see him weeping and crying. So obviously the body still feels emotion. You are not sapped from that. But your true self, it's really weird to say that you understand your true self, but your body still suffers from the world. Perhaps is the not seeking portion. You no longer, how do I say? You no longer need to seek pleasure. You no longer need your body's desire for pleasure. You no longer need to seek. That can be controlled. Your body's source of pain and suffering is not something you can necessarily control. It is something that you must accept, because pain obviously tells you there's something wrong with the body. If you ignore that, the body could end up being destroyed. It's not wise to ignore pain or certain kinds of suffering, but to, mind you, emotional and stuff, being enlightened, obviously you will not suffer from emotional pain and all that. Your body may, but you will not be affected in the mind per se. There are people out there who are emotionally damaged and who turn it into violence, as opposed to while these enlightened beings still feel emotion, but it doesn't take over the body. Maybe it's a correct way to look at that. But again, so bliss is something that you don't need to seek to either avoid or to have. So to have pleasure, you do not need to seek it because you have it, perhaps. And you don't need to avoid pain because, well, you can't say that you already have it, but because it is, you understand that this is part of life and it doesn't affect you. I don't know how to describe pain in a way that's similar to pleasure. Pleasure, you don't need to seek it because you have it, but pain, it is something that you have to acknowledge because it's a great warning for damage to the body, or in terms of emotional pain. Understand that, I don't know how to describe that part. The suffering portion is a little bit difficult, but to understand that everyone goes through suffering, and it doesn't have to be, say, a negative impact on your life, or it doesn't have to impact you in a very, very negative manner. I don't know how else to describe that. That's really bad. But as far as I'm understanding it, again, bliss you do not need to seek, but you always have. So suffering or pain you do not need to avoid because you understand it, and you can adjust or accommodate, or something about the suffering that doesn't affect you as bad. It's the best way I can put it.
If I'm in that state, actually I'm experiencing myself as the Atman. I have no interest in Paramatman. But the moment I don't experience myself as the Atman, but as this individual saying, what's going on around here? Then I'm stuck. Atman is just words. So then I conjure up this marvelous chap called Paramatman. Because as I can't grab hold of this thing called Atman, I have now projected this idea of Paramatman is, this, if you like, not just an ordinary Atman, but a superior Atman. For me to focus my mind to grab this Atman, I produce Paramatman. Because then what I do is, I can then build relationship with this Paramatman, is a chap outside me, not me, outside me, so I can build relationship with, I've got some tools to progress spiritually. In order for you to progress spiritually, the thing that you are searching for, you need to project it outward and then build relationship with it. That is Paramatman. Now this is purely Adi Shankara's interpretation. Watch it, Adi Shankara, the first Acharya, famous Acharya who brought back Hinduism to India. Otherwise, Hinduism was knocked out. And it's Adi Shankara with this very high philosophic approach who was able to give rebirth to Hinduism. No, don't underestimate the power of this man. But then, you see, this is philosophically satisfying but not practical. When you say, I am Atman, I am the Paramatman, I am the same, one and only, this is called Advaita philosophy. It is philosophically satisfying, but is impractical.
When you talk about practicality, I was thinking about this at work, and especially about the video I did the other day, or one of the days. It's like, obviously, when you're enlightened, you don't need to hear anything what anyone has to say because you're enlightened. That's it. You've hit it. You've done it. You've done not the impossible, but the improbable. I don't know. You did the difficult thing. Let's just put it that way. But what I like to do, is what I noticed perhaps, is give practical advice. I'm not saying it's going to work. I've always said this. I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone. I'm not saying it's going to work for you. But it could be something that could work for you. It's more like until people become enlightened, they need ways to get past these barriers, practical ways. Things that they can use in everyday life to get them past these points in life until they become enlightened. And perhaps even these practical ways are what helps them get to that point. I'm not saying they do, I'm just saying they may. Again, that's the reason why I say listen to a lot of people, because you never know who's going to probably spark this thing that makes you hop over all these obstacles with no issues to get you to the point where you want to be. But yes, anyways.
You find hardly one, I have not met one single Advaita Vedanti. Advaiti means I am the Atman, who will actually experience Atman. So this guy is just living in a dream world. I would rather link with a person who says, I love God as Paramatman and I am devoted to him, because he's got his teeth into the system and he makes progress. The guy says, I'm Atman, just is hot air. And I met a lot of them, and I run away from them. I don't like them. They are philosophic giants, but but experientially they're complete duds. I rather have a person who says, I love God, I love Paramatma. He is my love of my life. He's building, he's got his teeth in the system, he's using certain tools to progress. It is only at the experiential level that the distinction between Atman and Paramatma disappears. At the practical level, I am a Vishishta Dvaiti. Vishish, not Advaiti, Vishishta Dvaiti. He says, I am just a little tiddler. I am just a spark. God is the great fire. And by looking at fire, I can then recognize my essential nature as a spirit. But to progress, I need to be practical, not philosophical. Oh, I'm so clever. What good is that cleverness? You know, it's better to be practical, pragmatic. So, for example, I'll tell you frankly, if I'm in the bliss of experiencing that I'm the spirit, I don't need him. But when I'm not in that state, in my daily life, I'm chewing, having my cereals, I'm in trouble. I got also the pains. I need help. So I look at Paramatma. If you like, rediscovering myself through some personality. This is the difference between Atman and Paramatma. At the experiential level, the distinction, that demarcation disappears. But until you get that, be humble. See, this is Ramanuj. Be humble. Until you experience yourself as God, don't say you are God. That is nonsense. Say that I am a devotee of God. I'm just a devotee searching for God. And that will allow me to progress. Otherwise, you just sit, I'm God. What more? You're not a God, you're an idiot. But I say, I'm looking for God. You are going to progress, my friend. That is why Vishishta Dvaita, in a way, is the more pragmatic philosophy. Even though Advaita is philosophically more satisfying. These are the major distinctions. But I think it's beautiful. As usual, Madan Bhai asks the most difficult questions.
Okay, so it's essentially bhakti yoga then, is what it's saying. It's kind of following is essentially bhakti yoga where you devote yourself to God. Again, I noticed that it seems like a lot of them preach bhakti yoga a lot. Devotion. In a sense, like religion. Did Sri Ramakrishna follow that? He was a devout follower of Kali and prayed and cried a lot of times to ask for the Divine Mother to just reveal herself to him again. Until that one, again, perhaps that one fateful day when things flipped, where he was now finally fully accepted. But I think now understand the difference between Atman, Paramatman. One is, in a sense, Paramatman is a superimposed, I don't know if that's the right word, but just someone you worship as a way to, as a someone that you follow, someone that you look up to, that you say, that's an example that I need to follow so I can become a greater person. And Atman is just saying that you're God. That's really weird. When following these videos, Atman is your true self. So it's like I always said that, but like sure, obviously I never said that. Like, oh, I recognize my Atman or anything like that, or I recognize that I am Atman. I just say that, okay, this is what you are. This is what I'm supposed to be, but I don't know that. I mean, you could say your essential nature is consciousness, which is, yes, okay, that makes sense, absolutely. But to make it say like you're a god, that's a bit of a different story. I would never say that. I'm definitely not a god. To say that I am consciousness, yes, absolutely, not an issue saying that. But anyways, that's all I have to say about this video. I do have one other thing to say. It's related to the video, but not with the subject matter. If you're curious to hear that, I'm going to say that now. It's very interesting throughout this video. There was like mechanical noises or distortion in the audio. I just started thinking, could you imagine all these videos that deteriorate over time, but you obviously make copies of copies of copies, and eventually those copies are going to be copies of copies of copies of copies, and they're going to be bad. then you start thinking of AI replacing or fixing these things. Eventually, it's all going to be fully replaced by AI. As in, even though the original video and the AI itself recreation of it are two completely different things, because the AI copy is 100% replacing the original because the original is tore up, but you'll hear Lakhani's voice crystal clear, as though he just spoke it just then and there. Because you have kind of that technology going on, the face as well, the background. It can be kind of crazy to think that you're watching this 50 years or 100 years into the future, and then you're watching this exact video crystal clear, no mechanical noises, and it's not the real thing at all. It looks exactly like the real thing, but it's not the real thing. I don't know, I was just thinking about that as I was hearing all these distortions in there. It's like, man, I wish they'd clean this up a little bit, I was like, what? But I mean, how can you clean this up? It's like, well, AI is kind of doing it, with the pictures and stuff right now. And then you have some people who can, AI that can mimic voices. They can cut out that part and just kind of put in the voice over there that sounds exactly like Lakhani, and then boom, you clear out the image. And I started thinking, it's like, well, what happens if more of the original video starts tearing up? Then more of the AI is going to be replacing it. Eventually, you're going to get to the point where it's just all AI replacement. It's no longer the original video, but it's the same thing. I don't know, kind of crazy thoughts. Again, my brain works weird. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.